Welcome, world builders. Today, we are kicking off a step-by-step video on how to craft your own homebrew fantasy world from scratch, the easy way. Whether you're building for a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, a novel, or a podcast like mine, these steps will help guide you through the creative chaos. So, let's start at the very beginning. Step 1. What's the name of your world? And it may seem like a small detail, but the name of your fantasy world sets the tone before anyone ever sets foot in it. So, how do you choose? Some names are meaningful, echoing the world's culture, history, or language, like Middle-earth, derived from Norse mythology. Some names are just cool nonsense words that feel right, like Tamriel or Westeros. There's no wrong answer here, as long as it clicks. In my case, I struggled. Every cool fantasy-sounding name I came up with was already taken. I googled them and, 3 times I struck out. So that's when I came up with something that already had personal meaning. Zumundo. It was the name of my old pop culture podcast. A made-up word that no one else had, and I had it, so it felt right. And once I had that, everything fell into place. Step 2. Set the tone of your world. Now this is a big one. What kind of a world are your players stepping into? Is it lighthearted and whimsical, or is it grim and brutal? Do you want vast elven kingdoms, or do you want monster-haunted ruins? And don't forget to ask yourself, is magic rare and dangerous, or common and woven into everyday life? In my case, the world of Zumundo began as a parody, specifically a nod to World of Warcraft's Azeroth, with big factions, high fantasy magic, and exaggerated tropes. But like many things that start as a joke, it drew into something much deeper. Zumundo now has its own history, cultures, wars, religions, and characters with personal stakes. The parody, in and of itself, became a mythos. So once you've locked in the name of your world and its tone, the rest becomes clear. You'll know what belongs in your world and what doesn't. Let's move on to step number 3. Give your world a brief history. Now here's the thing. You don't need an encyclopedia, you just need a few key defining events. Moments that give your world depth and memory. The kind of stories that people whisper around a fire. Half true, half myth. Start by asking yourself, how old is your world? What era are you in now? Are you building in the age of swords and sorcery, or something earlier, or maybe later? It doesn't have to be medieval, you can borrow from any period. Swashbucklers, powder rifles, or even something more primal. For Zumundo, I chose to place the present day in the Third Age, but it's the previous ages that give the world its weight. At the end of the First Age, the world faced an event so devastating it nearly ended civilization. The Great Eclipse. An unnatural darkness descended. The sun vanished behind a black veil, and for 137 days, there was no light. Rivers froze, crops failed, fires barely flickered. What followed was famine, madness, and the slow collapse of everything. They called it the Shrouded Age, the death knell of the First Age. And then, on the 138th day, a woman appeared. She came bearing a lantern whose flame never dimmed. Her name was Lumina, daughter of the high god Solvera, and the first of the 3 sisters of the new Pantheon. She didn't conquer, she didn't command. She just walked through the frozen dark, lighting hearths and giving warmth back to the people. When she vanished, hope remained. And on the 141st day, the sun returned. This one myth, true or not, became the foundation for a new faith. The rise of the great faction, the Luminary Order. It also marked the beginning of the Second Age. But the Second Age wasn't peaceful. It was during this time that an ancient civilization rose, the architects of the Veil. They were scholars, mystics, explorers, and they pushed the limits of arcane knowledge. In their ambition, they opened a gate to something they didn't understand, something beyond this world. What came through was the void. Not a storm, not a fire, not a monster, but absence. Entire cities vanished, races disappeared, and the architects themselves were erased from history. Their name survives only in ruin and rumor, but the danger didn't vanish with them. Centuries later, near the end of the Second Age, 2 great factions locked in a war, that had already lasted generations tried to harness that same chaotic power. They believed they could aim it, control it, and use it to win. They failed. The resulting disaster became known as the War of Silence, a calamity that shattered continents and devoured armies. Cities were swallowed whole. The void spread unchecked. And for the first time, the warring sides were forced to put down their weapons, not in peace, but in fear of a second extinction. This was the end of the Second Age. And now, the Third Age continues. On the surface, an era of rebuilding, but beneath it all, the scars remain. The Luminary Order rose from faith. The war left its shadows. The void is still whispered about in the old corners of the world. You see how it builds. 3 brushstrokes. We have a mythic darkness in the woman who ended it, a lost civilization whose ambition went too far, and a war that dared to repeat history and paid the price. And that's enough to shape the world. You don't need everything, just enough to make it feel like there's always more waiting, just behind the curtain. Let's move on to the next step. Step 4, build a pantheon. Now, you don't have to build a pantheon to have a working fantasy world, but if you're weaving religion into the bones of your setting, then it's worth thinking about who your gods are and what they want. For example, in Zumundo, religion has shaped entire ages of history. It's the heart of multiple factions. We already have Lumina, a messianic figure who descended during the Great Eclipse and restored the world's warmth. She's become a beacon of hope and a central deity in the new Pantheon. Above her is Solvira, the father of flame and the sun above all. He's not just a god, he's the god, the divine source, the high fire from which all light was born. But light isn't everything. Let's give Lumina 2 sisters. We have Nytheria, the goddess of twilight and balance. She teaches that light and shadow are not enemies, but partners in the eternal cycle. She is the patron of those who walk between, watchers, diplomats, rogues, and those who seek truth and complexity. And let's give her a second sister, Vespera, goddess of night, secret, and stars. She's not evil, but she is feared. Vespera is the stillness after the fire dies, the voice in the dark, the mother of nightmares and dreams alike. Her worship is rare in the cities, but far older than people like to admit. These are the 3 sisters, each representing a different face of the world, light, twilight, and shadow. Together with Solvera, they form the heart of the modern Pantheon. But not everyone follows them. The Bloodfang clan reveres something older, something wilder. They call upon the primordials, raw elemental forces that existed before the gods had names. The deities don't appear in visions or scriptures. They rumble in the earth, howl in the wind, burn in the forge. Their names are titles: the Father of Stone, the Gaping Maw, the Forge of Fire, the Breath of the Storm. These are not personal gods, they are forces. The Bloodfang clan doesn't pray to them, they appease them. Their faith is not about obedience, but survival. And then there's the Void. It has no temples, it answers no prayers, but it has followers. Those who seek its silence believe it is the only true end, the only real peace. To them, the gods are just distractions from the truth. They call themselves the children of silence, and they see the void as the natural state of things. Their god doesn't speak, it devours. Now, here's the key to all of this. You don't need to write every god's holy book. You don't need their holidays, their sacred colors, or the 5th line of their 8th doctrine unless it's important to the story that you're telling right now. If a player makes a cleric of the sea, great, you come up with something. Her name's Thalmira, the Deep Mother, and she's as chaotic as the sea itself. Done. You need a god of dragons? Sure. Virex, the coiled flame. The symbol is a serpent made of fire. That's all you need, until you need more. Let your pantheon grow organically. Let the faith inform the world, and the world inform the faith. It's okay to leave space blank. In fact, it's better. Because sometimes the best part of world building is watching it evolve in real time. Your final step, geography. Now listen to me, and I mean this. Do not try to map out an entire world unless you love time-consuming projects and have hours to spare. And hey, maybe you do. Maybe you're the kind of person who drinks coffee at midnight, stares at hex grids, and dreams of rivers and trade routes. And if that's you, go wild, my dude. Knock yourself out, build continents, plot tectonic plates, add wind currents, and whale migration patterns. But me, I've got sessions to prep, a podcast to edit, and only so much brain space left at the end of the day. So here's my advice. Start small, expand when you need to. You've already got your starting town, you have a sense of what lies just beyond, another capital city, another city to the east, and a dangerous road through the forest. That's enough. Don't overbuild what your players haven't even heard of yet. Honestly, I've been running Roll for Real for months now, and I still don't know the name of the Bloodfang clan's capital city. Why? Because it hasn't mattered yet. And when that moment comes that it finally does, then I'll have enough of the world's history, cultures, and conflicts to build something that feels real. That's the beauty of it. The world grows with the story. Still, it helps to have a few major regions in your back pocket. Not detailed blueprints, just broad ideas. Places that evoke different feelings, different dangers. In Zumundo, I've defined a few of these. Jarden's Vale, a lush, winding jungle. Gorgeous, yes, but deadly. It's overgrown with ruins swallowed by time and vines. The deeper you go, the more you feel like the trees are watching you. People speak of ancient civilizations lost beneath its canopy, but few return to confirm the rumors. Thalvik's Maw, a desperate, open plain where shadows seem to move on their own. It stretches for miles in all directions, silent and gray. Travelers claim to see ghosts in the distance. Some say it's cursed, others say it's haunted by time itself. The Amethyst Sea, a vast ocean east of Solaris, glistening like crushed jewels. No one knows what's beyond it. Trade ships vanish, compasses spin, sailors return mad or not at all. It's a place full of promise and threat. A blank space on the map, daring to be explored. The twisted plains, scarred remains of the final battle of the War of Silence. The void's taint lingers here. Time warps. Paths double back. People walk in circles for days. Magic doesn't behave the way it should. Voices echo from nowhere. It's a place to avoid unless you're desperate. And that's it. That's all you need to start. A few evocative regions, a general idea of direction, and just enough unknown to keep your players and you curious about what's waiting behind the curtain. Because here's the truth of it. It's not the map that makes the world feel real. It's the stories you tell inside of it. So let the map grow with the story. Reveal only what matters now, and let the rest wait behind the fog of the unknown, where it belongs. And that's it. You now have the tools needed to build your own fantasy world, piece by piece, story by story. Whether you're doing it for a game, a novel, or just because your imagination won't leave you alone, you've got a place to begin. And if you've been following along this whole time, then thank you, truly. If you have questions, thoughts, or you just want to share what you're building with me, feel free to reach out. You can contact me directly at rollforreal@outlook.com, and I'd love to hear from you. And if this world, Zumundo, that we've built together today has sparked your curiosity, then stick around. The podcast set in this world is coming very soon. Roll for Real episodes 1 and 2 drop on July 7th. So follow me here, or on Facebook, or on any one of our socials, and keep building, keep playing, and remember, the world doesn't need to be finished. It just needs to be alive.